Hello, welcome to a mission a day, mission 33 or mission 2 of season 2. This is Lorenzo and I will be your host for today, as I was yesterday, tomorrow and for the foreseeable future to come. We are here with the probe from mission 8. This is our time acceleration vehicle. We are accelerating time for a launch window, and I thought to take that occasion to say hello to this probe. It's been in space now for just over 3 years, and it's getting ever further away from the sun. It's now at almost 400,000 million meters. I think that's the big M, is a million meters, so it's rather far. It's so far that the small solar panel doesn't provide any power anymore. It just gets some sun exposure, but the energy flow is zero. It's still at a nippy 15 degrees centigrade due to the sun exposure, I think, but the lack of power means that we can't do anything with this probe. That, and of course that we're at 100,000 times time acceleration. It's still receding from the sun at a brisk 2.5 kilometers per second, but that really isn't so fast on the big scheme of things. Look, we're way out from the solar system, if we can even still see it. Yeah, it's way over there. Great. Anyway, our launch window has about come up, so we are going to wait for a few more seconds, and 2 more seconds, and then proceed to the Space Center. Thank you, Mission 8 probe, and we will be sure to visit you again later. Now, I have said I was waiting for a launch window. I didn't mention the window where to. We are going today to Juna once more, and we are now in the early days of year 6. Let's check, by the way, if I did that correctly. We are now at year 6, day 4. No, we need a little bit more days. We need day 50 something. So we're going to accelerate for 40 more days. Back to mission 8. I said we'd be coming back, but it didn't mean to be coming back that quickly. So let's have a go until at least mission day T plus 1350. Anyway, we're going to Duna today, and we're going to do so demonstrating a very small rocket, and we're going to do so to earn some money, because J Cheetah made a mission to put 2 probes in orbit around Duna at varying altitudes and heights, and that mission will pay at 350,000 credits. With those credits we can then proceed to put a man on Val and finally finish and launch our space station. So that's the overarching goal for these few days, but for now it is off to Juna with not 2 probes, but 1 probe that will pack a lot of Delta V and will then be able to fulfill both missions. This probe will have a few pioneering technologies. Let me show it to you on the launch pad. It is I think the smallest rocket we have launched so far. The probe itself weighs just 650 kilograms, which is rather small for a spaceship, and consequently it needs a very tiny rocket. Just 2 fuel tanks. It might need a tiny rocket, but it's not going to explode. Let's revert to launch and try that again. I'm not sure, sometimes when I put a vessel on the launch pad, what's happening here? Some strange things are happening. We're going to a flag now. Right, I'm going to see about putting this vessel on the launch pad from the vehicle assembly building. Sometimes if I do it directly to the launch pad it doesn't quite work out, and sometimes when I load it again it does. I don't know why this is. I don't know how this happens, but I do know that it happens. So, as I was trying to explain, this vessel is the smallest and cheapest one that we have, I think, launched ever. Because the probe is so small, it needs only a 2-tank booster stage with 1 engine, 4 parachutes to recover that, and then the payload is here on top. You'll notice the shiny fairing that we've got, and I downloaded that as a mod. It's the procedural fairings mod. And I got that because the top part of the probe is a kethane scanner. It's a small kethane scanner which is very light, but it also has 0.3 drag, so I thought it prudent to put a fairing over that to allow our rocket to cut through the air a little bit more effectively. I've never used these fairings before. We'll see how well that works out. Let me show you the mission and then we'll set off. We're going to do this mission, 2 probes, 1 stone. We have to attain this orbit first, and then this orbit, which is a different orbit around Duna. and therefore we are packing a probe that brings we're bringing a probe that packs a lot of delta V. Now I'm not expecting any problems with this launch whatsoever, so I'm just going to go ahead with it, and as you know, if indeed nothing special happens, I will see you at separation when we discover what's inside the fairing. So see you then. Right, so here we are, well in space, and coming up on booster separation. This is quite extraordinary. This 2-tank, 1-engine booster has carried us all the way into space, not quite in orbit. Look, the booster is coming back to the planet, but our apoapsis is very high at 800 kilometers. And the reason for that will become abundantly clear in just a few seconds when we separate this booster. So that's away from our little cocoon-like payload, and hopefully these fairings will separate without a problem. Let's make them do that now. There they go. Hopefully they will all fall back to Kerbin as well, not making a mess anywhere. Now this is our tiny probe, and as you can see, or as will become apparent shortly, is that it's full of solar panels. And it's full of solar panels for a very simple and, dare I say, very good reason, because it is sporting an ion engine. This is an electric means of propulsion that is rather fuel efficient and not so much energy efficient because it needs a lot of electricity. We have the kethane scanner here that will be deactivated for now, and here we have our array of solar panels. This is the reason why I launched this vessel into a high orbit initially, because we will be needing quite a lot of time to... oh, what's this here? This fairing base. Hopefully that won't interfere with the engine's thrusting ability. We'll find that out immediately. Launching that engine, turning it on. And are we getting any propulsion here? Yes, we are in fact going forward. So fortunately, this leftover fairing base doesn't hinder the exhaust from this ion drive. It looks kind of cool actually. Anyway, this is an ion drive, and that uses very light xenon gas fuel. It accelerates that using magnetic fields through the exhausted out the back at a fairly high speed, like a good fraction of the speed of light actually. And that makes it, because of the exhaust velocity, because that is so fast, that is a very high energy exhaust, makes its specific impulse, the impulse imparted per mass of fuel, makes it very high, and that means we can get a lot of delta V out of a relatively low amount of fuel and weight. This is why this probe is so super light, because the fuel it carries, it weighs not a lot, and it being that low weight can get us all the way to Juna, supposedly. The trade-off, the caveat for this, is that the burns will take a long time. This is measured in minutes, if not hours, in the game, and the real-life counterparts, these engines do exist in real life, the real-life counterparts have on the order of 100 to 1,000 times fewer thrust, less thrust than these ones, so real-life burns are often measured in months, if not years. Now that would not be feasible for a game like this, so they increased the power to keep the idea alive that it will take a long time but is efficient, but they overpowered it so that it is actually gameplay feasible. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to establish this orbit, and now you will realize why I decided to shoot up high first. Firstly, so that this probe may be in the sun for long enough, because as soon as the sun is going down, this ion drive will exhaust the batteries in a matter of seconds, and that we have a long trajectory here that we can use to boost our orbit, so that we don't fall back before getting in orbit. This might also mean that I will need multiple passes to generate the amount of speed, the amount of delta V that we will need for our eventual transfer to Juna. That's about 1 kilometer per second, and we are accelerating at about 1 meter per second. A quick back of the envelope math calculation gives that to about 1,000 seconds, which is about a third of an hour, a little bit less, so about 15 to 18 minutes for our burn. Well, don't worry, I'm not going to talk all the way through that, but I will in fact switch to that burn as it's almost completed. So I will talk to you in a bit, and then we'll leave you with this marvelous spacecraft. I might rotate it a little bit, turn off the SCS, and that looks perfectly scenic if you ask me. So, see you when we are on our way to Duna. Here we are, still in orbit around Kerbin, with the moon there in the background. Boosting into the sun as it seems, but that's not what we're doing. I'm interrupting the break, well at least the bit that I would have cut out. If we have a peek at the map view, we see we're not quite headed for Duna yet, but we are in fact headed for Minmus. I misremembered the mission, and it's fortunate I was looking through it here, because this is actually tasking us to go to Minmus. Now, this is far easier than Duna. It does mean we have time warped for about half a year in vain, and we are now missing a perfectly good Duna launch window. But no matter, because with this money we want to go to Val anyway. So I'm doing now course corrections to intercept Minmus, and something fairly clever is going on. I am going to use the moon for a gravity assist that will put me in a larger orbit. Now it's flickering a bit, but the blue orbit is where we're at now. The now I got confused. Oh yeah, the purple orbit is the orbit that we will be in after our encounter, after this burn, and the green dotted orbit is our orbit that we will have after our encounter. After the burn has been completed, we're adding 90 meters per second of delta V to this orbit, and the moon is going to give us, I don't know how much, but it's giving us a fair bit of boost. And then from this orbit we are going to change the planes, do that at the descending node, and then I'm going to set up an encounter with Minmus. Now this will take a while, because as you can see, this ion engine is taking forever to pack on any speed, even with this very light probe. So after this interlude, I will cut to when we have an intersect with Minmus, or when we have rendezvoused with Minmus. So see you then. And after a long and arduous series of course corrections, fairly slowly with the ion engine, in total I think I spent about half an hour, 35 minutes in ion burns, we are now finalizing the second required orbit of this mission. So in a few seconds, hopefully we will have a big payday. Now the mission called for 2 separate probes, and I'm deeming that 1 will suffice, and I will tell you why. With over half a tank of xenon remaining, there is about 2.5 to 3 kilometers per second of delta V left in this probe. That is enough to get anywhere in the solar system for a flyby from here. Or, let's have a look. No, wait, while I'm talking to you I'm messing up the orbit. That's not the idea. Not going to crash on Minmus, this one. This probe will have 2.5 to 3 kilometers per second of delta V left in it, which, as I said, is enough to reach anywhere in the solar system for at least a flyby, and it should definitely be enough to change orbit around Minmus completely, exhaustively, if necessary, for 10 to 20 times. So this one powerhouse of a probe should be enough. It doesn't carry a lot of payload, it just has the kethane scanner here, and all that we need to do now is to reduce the eccentricity, make it a nice circular orbit, and then that will finish us the mission, probably. No, that's increasing now. I'm going to fine-tune this orbit here. Let's time warp to the apo or periapsis. It's going to be the periapsis. And as we can see, Minmus already has a fairly complete map of kethane, courtesy of our kethane scanner M. This probe, the double scanner, will serve to fill in any gaps around in the middle at any rate, because this is not a pure polar orbit. It will be limited to scanning the band of the planet, of the moon, around the equator. No matter though, that is still valuable data. So we are at the periapsis now, so we are going to burn retrograde to round out this orbit. Here we go, lighting the engine once again, basking in that blue glow. And here we are, we have finished the mission, 350,000 credits. There we go, just a hair under 400,000 credits for tomorrow. That means we are going to finish the space station, finish the Val vehicle, and depending on how well the finishing goes, we are going to set it off to Val. Finally, after a long, well, month of missions, science and money earning, we are good to go to Val. I shouldn't forget to turn on the detector here, so that we can... Hey, does that aim itself to the planet? That's pretty nifty. Let's see if we rotate the ship. Wow, that looks freaky. It stays aimed at the planet. If we disable it, then it will rotate with the craft, and if we activate it again... Oh, that's neat. It's automatically pointing towards the ground. Yeah, well, that's pretty neat. Let's have a look if it is going to gather us some sciences. Well, sciences, Kethane data, that is. And yes, it is. Here we are, rounding out the center of this patch here, probably. Let's have a look. See if that... Yes, here we go. Gathering extra Kethane data, which of course will be invaluable for our Kethane miner that has to land here on the surface, mine Kethane and refuel our interplanetary vehicles. So for now, enjoy this side of the Kethane scanner ion powered probe. The ion technology has now been proven to be effective, and the next module to the space station will indeed carry an ion powered science satellite. So with that, I'm going to leave to the space center. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, please press the like button or the subscribe button if you didn't do so already, of course. It's always nice to see the comments, the likes and the subscribes going up, and of course they give me money. For every view I give myself 100 credits, and for every subscribe 1,000. So do those things, enable bigger rockets, although today we don't need it because, as I showed you already, we have 400,000 credits. That is a boatload of money, allowing us to build nice rockets. Thanks for watching, see you tomorrow. This was Lorenzo, goodbye.